put it into sport mode here, into the gas. 365 horsepower. So I get on the brakes. You guys saw the speed limit there. 365 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque from this 3.3 liter twin turbocharged V6 in the 2022 Genesis G70. Now, the 2023 models are out at the time of this recording, and if you want the same model as a 2023 as a 2022, it costs $3 grand more. So the Genesis G70 and the 2023 model is starting to lose its value proposition as just an amazing luxury performance like buy out there. Price to performance buy is incredible still in 2023 with it costing $54K, but then it's like, well man, do I flip the coin on an Acura TLX Type S? Do I save a little bit and maybe go for the better looking IS 350 F Sport handling package from Lexus? This has the Sports Prestige package, which costs about $8 grand more over the base model, and it gets you Brembo brakes, it gets you a limited slip diff, and with this much power you'd want to have a limited slip diff. It also gives you adaptive dampers, and then you get a heated steering wheel on the inside, ventilated seats, head-up display, Lexicon sound system. So this thing is loaded up, there's no doubt. For the 2022 model year, Genesis gave this vehicle a refresh. It looks a lot better than the outgoing model. I think it might even edge out the TLX Type S in terms of looks. I still think the IS, when that came out, the redesign, refresh, whatever you want to call it, for 2021, I think that's still probably the best from the Asian luxury automakers. But you also have, let's just get in the gas here. And you also have variable exhaust in this, and the exhausts don't look very good, mind you. But the IS probably still looks the best. You also have the aging Q50 from Infiniti, which has an amazing motor, the 3-liter turbo that we see in the new Nissan Z. So there's just a lot of great competition. Lexus kind of being the dog in terms of a powertrain. Yes, you can get the 5-liter V8, but those are nigh impossible to get, and it's pricing itself out of this segment at that point with the IS 500. But getting into the interior, the seats are incredible. Not only do I have thigh extension, just the leather and the stitching on these seats is amazing. You also have that stitching on the inside of the door. And then you have this cheap little diamond pattern, aluminum pattern around the door handle that I don't think really adds to the luxury or the sport of this model. The center stack here is pretty basic. It doesn't feel luxurious at all. It looks like it could have been pulled out of any other Hyundai model. We do have heated ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. We have a little touchscreen here. I believe it's a 10-inch touchscreen. You also have wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto. It gets the job done. The Lexicon sound system sounds great in here. I do have a larger roof. I wouldn't say it's a panel roof. It's just kind of like an oversized roof. Kind of what I remember seeing in the Kia EV6 GT, for example. In the back seat, I've been taking my kids to school. It's plenty big for them, but anyone over probably 5'10" is going to be feeling pretty cramped back there. There's only one USB port back there, which I find interesting. It's powering my camera as I do this video. The 8-speed auto, what do I think of it? Well, I'm going to get past these guys on the side of the road, and I'll put it into sport mode, so it'll be a little bit more aggressive. It immediately downshifted. I'm going to put the pedal down. Yeah, it's pretty decisive when it wants to go, so I have no issues with it. It's very serviceable, and it's a good teammate to this 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6. The issues I have with it is when it comes to stopping, and I've had these issues with the V70 and the GV80. The transmission and engine starts downshifting when you decelerate. So in theory, it helps with decelerating of the car, and it maybe puts the vehicle in the right gear if you need to accelerate quick. But when you just come to the stop, transmission is downshifting, and that engine braking is very non-luxurious. It cuts into the predictability of the braking, and I don't like it, and it also causes the vehicle to pitch and dive a little bit more. It's not as bad in this vehicle since it's so low to the ground compared to the crossover siblings, but I still don't like it. So I'm going to get into the brakes here. 3, 2, 1. Brake pedal feels great, and around 30 miles an hour you start feeling that transmission cut in, and then 20 miles an hour it downshifts into like first gear, and you just kind of like have this lurching feeling where it's like kind of just like slamming on the brakes, even though you haven't pressed the brake pedal anymore. So that's unfortunate. I didn't have that feeling at all when I drove the excellent G80 electric vehicle. That is the best Genesis vehicle, fully electric, 0 to 60 in the low 4s. Immense amounts of luxury and comfort in that vehicle, and just crazy amounts of quiet and just great luxury ride feel. Anyways, I'm not going to gush too much over the G80 electric because that's like around $80,000+. Not in the same category as this. But as Genesis goes fully electric by 2025, we won't, I mean, that's just around the corner. So this is almost like the last era of twin turbo and turbo engines. But as we get into that electrified era for Genesis, we won't have that engine and transmission cutting into the braking experience. I didn't have any of that, of course, with the fully electric Genesis G80. Speaking of efficiency in electric vehicles, this is not that efficient. Taking it easy, taking the kids to school, best I saw was 25 miles per gallon, but typically I'm in the low 20s, upper teens with pushing this vehicle, having a little bit of fun with a heavy foot. I do a blind spot view monitor, so when I press the blinker, the blind spot camera comes up on that side of the vehicle. Since this isn't fully digital though, when I put on my left blinker, it still shows up on the right hand side. And then there's a blind spot collision avoidance alert thing because yeah, the blinker on with the truck in my blind spot. So safety in here is top notch for sure. And the 360 camera that you get on the Sport Prestige model is very, very clear and high resolution. Let's put into Sport here. Roll into the gas. Oh, that torque just slaps you. Man, it is satisfying. You got paddle shifters here as well. I haven't touched them yet, so going about 4,500 RPM. Doesn't let me downshift. Going 4,000, it lets me downshift and goes about 5,500 RPM. But I'm gonna accelerate quick. Oh man, this thing is a rocket. Do you need this much power? Absolutely not. I mean, it would probably get me into trouble if I were to have this much torque and power on tap at all times. What about the 2.5 liter turbo? Now that's the value proposition. You can get that with the Sport package, and that'll get you around mid to low 40s, and you still have over 250 horsepower in that. You'll get better fuel economy, not by much, and the vehicle's downshifting quite aggressively for me here as I'm in that sport mode. But getting back into comfort with this adaptive dampers does make it feel a little bit smooth, but these tires and wheels are very, very sport-minded, large 19-inch wheels. They look great, mind you, and you have just real thin, skinny tires, so you do feel a lot of the road, even with these adaptive dampers in comfort mode. Another thing I forgot to mention, in this top package, we have a really nice, like super high quality headliner. Feels great, makes me really feel like I'm in a premium luxury vehicle. We'll do a quick 0 to 60 here. We'll put it into Sport. I'm not gonna torque brake it, but it'll at least allow us to have a somewhat accurate 0 to 60. Not a hard launch, but you can tell that the wheels are fighting for a little bit of tread. This thing is quick. 4.92 0 to 60. No torque brake, and you don't need a lot of torque brake in a vehicle like this because that torque comes in so strong early on in the rev range. It is addictive to feel this engine scream out. It's not the most peaky, but it just slaps you with that torque, which feels so great. And it's got a pretty good exhaust note to it overall. The engine sounds good. So yeah, don't have a lot of places to throw this in the turns, but this thing does handle well. It feels a little, I know it's a totally different vehicle, but with its accuracy and the steering feel, it feels a little bit like a Civic Si. I know that's apples to oranges comparison, but it just gives me that same sort of satisfaction when you throw this into the turns with the accuracy and its eagerness to turn in. It's just excellent. So overall, Genesis has a badass sports luxury vehicle here. Even though the price has gone up $3,000 over the same model last year, it still represents an excellent buy, but it does have stiff competition from the IS350 F Sport, which you can get at a lower price point, and you also have the excellent TLX Type S, which doesn't feel quite as top-end power as this. The torque isn't as quite as immense either, but it is a more rev-happy engine, it feels like, compared to this, and that super handling all-wheel drive is quite excellent, even though it's front-wheel drive based. So it's almost a coin flip between the two of them. I think so. Anyways, good to have luxury options and performance options, and If you want to have this same sort of experience but not spend $54K on this, save 10 grand and go for the 2.5 liter turbo. You're gonna have plenty of power. You'll probably be doing 0 to 60 in that in around 6 seconds, maybe a little bit more, which is still plenty fast for the streets. You're gonna be beating just about anyone if you want to pretend you're gonna race from stoplight to stoplight. So I'll see you guys down below what you have to think and say about the Genesis G70 rear wheel drive. It does come in all wheel drive, but this is the 2 grand less rear wheel drive model. And what do you think about it? If you enjoyed this quick little drive of this vehicle, smash a like button, subscribe for more Genesis news and reviews. Can't wait to see where Genesis goes. I drove the GV60. That thing was an absolute missile. 0 to 60 in 4s. I drove the G80 electric. We'll be getting the GV70 electric in about a year, in the next year or so. So it'll be fun to see them convert to an electric brand. But in the meantime, their turbocharged V6 and 4-cylinder options are with the best of them. I'll say that. And their interiors are great. Exterior designs are overall really, really solid. So Genesis, man, continue to get better. Put the heat on the traditional luxury rivals, and it makes it for a more fun, more competitive market out there for the luxury market. Got to cut myself off. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and peace. Let's just hit the gas one last time for you guys. Oh man, really puts you back in your seat. Whew. All right, I gotta cut myself off before I get into too much trouble.